two.
Hello, and welcome to the Rethink Retail podcast. I'm Jeremy Goldman, VP of Editorial and Insights, and thank you for joining us for another episode of our Retail Roundup, where every week we dive into the latest news and trends shaping the retail world and beyond, alongside a dynamic panel of industry experts. Our goal is to bring you engaging, timely conversations packed with insights you can put into action right away. Today, I am joined by two amazing guests, Charisma Glassman, Global VP for Retail, Consumer, and E-commerce Advisory at Genpact. Hey, really excited to have you on for the first time.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks for having me here. I'm very excited to share everything I know about retail today.
Everything. Okay, so it's going to be a 9-hour show. Cool. And also Tanya Thorson, Director of Client Advisory here at Rethink. Hey, Tanya.
Hey, Jeremy. How are you?
I would say like 8.5 out of 10. Pretty good. So thank you for asking.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for entertaining me for a second, or at least dealing with the fact that I like to share a little bit of today in history. Do you know what turns 14 today? Any ideas? No? Okay. Outlook.com. Microsoft officially introduced Outlook.com to the world. It was pitched as a cleaner, sleeker, far more modern consumer email service with built-in social connections, and it stands out as one of Microsoft's biggest consumer internet rebrands of the entire 2010s. Are you both inbox zero people, or do you just type into the search bar and pray?
I do a little bit of both. I do a little bit of both. It just depends on the convenience.
I think I would say I'm an Outlook junkie. And to an extent, all of us are Outlook managers. We live, breathe Outlook a lot more. So thank you. It feels like it's a lot longer than that. But yes, 14 is fairly young.
Right, exactly. I will say I'm striving to, some people are trying to get to inbox 0. I'm trying to get to inbox 600. I'm only 13 away from getting to inbox 600. I think I can do it. There's a lot of media pitches, guys. I think you have to cut me like a little slack. But don't tell Shahar on our team, she'll be, very depressed to hear that number. So speaking of just getting us started, I want to talk about LVMH kind of turning the corner a little bit. Don't know if you've seen luxury retail has spent nearly 2 years searching for evidence that post-pandemic slowdown is ending, but its latest earnings provide a really strong signal and also demonstrated why investors remain cautious. The world's largest luxury company reported 3% organic revenue growth during the second quarter. Its critical fashion and leather goods division returned to growth for the first time in roughly 2 years, 1% organic growth. Watches and jewelry grew 11%. So a lot of interesting things that look like, luxury is continuing to rise. But do you all have any takes on that? Do you think that this momentum is going to continue?
I would say that it's good news in a way. Finally, we're emerging from the dark clouds because LVMH is a big daddy. I would say the David. So if the David sneezes, then the rest of the industry catches cold. I would say that, finally they're turning a corner, which is amazing. Not only the leather goods, but we're also seeing an uptick in fashion and jewelry. So watches and jewelry always were doing well, but that the fact that the leather goods has finally started doing better is a positive news. What do you say, Tanya?
Yeah, I would agree with everything that you said. And just to, amplify that, where I see LVMH is they're moving step by step, brick by brick, as I would say. So Q2, they reported +3. As you mentioned, some of the categories, the leather goods was up. What I see happening is that the customer today is not afraid to purchase luxury items. It's not if, it's what they're going to purchase. And jewelry, leather goods, when you think of those two categories, you think of those as emotional connective pieces. And they're sustainable, they're durable, they last longer, and they're more meaningful. And so I think there's this movement in where people are looking to make a purchase. It's really about what's in it for me, how does it make me feel? And that's where I see those two specific categories are really, moving further ahead than what the total LVMH business is.
I wanted to build on that, Tanya.
Sure.
So if you see the World Wealth Report, the wealthy people are increasing in wealth. So the total wealth in the world is increasing, and that's being reinforced directly with what we're seeing in the luxury industry. So the earnings that you see, Jeremy and Tanya, are reinforcing increasingly important dynamic inside the luxury retail industry. Not all luxury consumers are behaving exactly the same way. To your point, jewelry, particularly Tiffany's or Bulgari, continues to outperform the traditional fashion. So this is directionally correlate to the World Wealth Report that I was quoting. So wealthier consumers remain very resilient, and aspirational shoppers continue to face pressure from slower wage growth or weaker consumer confidence in several markets.
I think that there's definitely this bifurcation now when we're thinking about different types of consumers. You have these highest income consumers, which you're totally right. That's a group that is growing, right? And those are remarkably resilient. They've got more to spend. And then you've got these aspirational shoppers, and they're continuing to spend more selectively. And I think that there's an opportunity to cater to both of those groups, but to understand that if you're having success with one, you're not necessarily having the same amount of success with the other group.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's where you're seeing jewelry really take on more of a step forward with LVMH. It's because there's this opportunity for the consumer to not go all in too. Like we are talking about, higher income housing. Those people have, their money is indispensable. Whereas someone might just want to be dipping their toe into a brand like Louis Vuitton. And when you have to invest over $2,000 for a bag, maybe it's a keychain instead. And so, or maybe it's a piece of jewelry from Louis Vuitton. So it's those types of things that they want to make this entrance into luxury, and we can't forget about the younger generations. And what does that look like?
And thank you, Tanya, for taking that in. I wanted to mention the recent article I wrote in Forbes recently, actually in July itself, about the 5 shifts quietly rewriting the rules of luxury in 2026. I'll quickly voice over for our listeners here. The first shift that we are seeing is the aspirational consumer has stopped apologizing for walking away. This is the woman, or it's a she or he, who wants to touch the brand. It's the keychain you want to sell. It's the little wallet you want to sell, and really touch the entire brand ethos without buying the whole car or without buying the couture. The second one we are seeing is the affluent customer is reallocating from fashion to wellness. Wellness is the new luxury. We're seeing a lot of trends in, you know, people investing in longevity, in care, in skincare routines, in the spa resorts. So you'll see a lot of that. We are also seeing experience is eating the object. Experience retail we saw last year, brands investing a lot in, doing a lot of activation in store, but we are seeing brands investing now in the yacht experiences, in the restaurants, in doing pop-ups, because people want to live the moment and experience the moment along with the brand and not just hold the object. The fourth one is heritage is a new differentiator. This is not, heritage has always been there, but we are seeing authenticity is the new logo. Customers can spot, when you're not authentic as a brand and when you are. And last one, no conversation is really finished until you bring AI. In luxury, the consumers that we are seeing is they want AI, but they want it to be invisible. So that what we say, the invisible white glove service, because they still want human connection.
And just to keep you both on your toes, because I know you knew what story we were going to maybe talk about next, but I am actually calling an audible and switching it over to Cracker Barrel News because you were just talking about heritage. And I thought that that's a perfect lead in to talk about this. So, in case anybody out there missed the story, Julie Massino, I hope I'm saying that right, is stepping down as Cracker Barrel's CEO, and that's less than 3 years into the role. I think it's becoming one of the clearest examples of how difficult it is for legacy consumer brands to modernize without undermining the very identity that made them successful. I'm sure most people who are listening to this remember that she was in charge of kind of simplifying the company's iconic logo, removing its longtime Uncle Herschel character, which honestly, I didn't know his name until that whole controversy. Did anybody know it was called Uncle Herschel? No?
No.
Okay, I feel a little bit better. And, like she was refreshing the overall brand experience, but it kind of, I feel like, became this unnecessarily, I would argue, like a political kind of story. I'm like, why is this political? She's trying to modernize this thing. But I also kind of think, should everything be modernized? I feel like that's a heritage brand, and trying to just like make it hip and super Gen Z and losing the things that made it cool. I don't know if she's the person who just kind of has to take the fall for that. And it's not really like on her. But I mean, does everything have to be modernized, or can't we just let Cracker Barrel be Cracker Barrel? That's my take. Please
I'm not
disagree.
I'm not sure if modernization is the right word to use. I agree with you. Heritage brand, absolutely. I think what happened is she went too fast and the media caught up to it. And when you think of Cracker Barrel, there's so much more than just the name or the logo. It represents, family traditions, road trips, the country store. All of those things really start popping into people's brains, and they're thinking, what is going on? What happened? And that change disrupted the core customer. And that core customer was apprehensive in where things were going. So, this logo, while it was a logo, we've seen brands like Coach has evolved their logo and their brand, and look what their business is doing today. So I think it's how you position it. And I think there is this thing called media, and social media got to it, and it became bigger news than what I think it should have been. But that's what the beauty and the curse of what social media can do to something like this.
I think there is a broader lesson here to learn, Tanya and Jeremy. I would say the broader lesson, really, to me personally, is well beyond the one restaurant chain. Many mature retailers and restaurant brands face the same dilemma. Younger customers demand fresh experiences, and while longtime customers who've been loyal to the brand, are very familiar to the brand ethos, the heritage, the values that it has. So finding the right balance is complicated, and typically it's an evolution and preservation. So I'm sure we are all walking those tightropes in our daily
Absolutely.
lives.
I think the logo was small, but the meaning attached to it was enormous. And the customer, they need to evolve. The customer base is aging. So she, in theory, was moving in the right direction. Traffic was under pressure. The company needed to improve their food. You talked about wellness earlier. That's very important to many people today, and it's not a specific persona.
Wait, you don't associate Cracker Barrel with wellness, really?
Good one, Jeremy. Good one.
I like Cracker Barrel. I have like, I don't know if it's going to really own the wellness space. That's all I'm going to say.
So- Good one. I love that. I love that.
It's a very authentic brand, and I can
Yes.
relate brand authenticity with Cracker Barrel for sure.
Yeah, and I think it is an important thing where it's like some people might simplify it and say, "Oh, it's a branding story," and it's not just a branding story. It's kind of like what goes beyond that. And by the way, are there other things that you can do that are not going to rile up the base and cause like a whole social media skirmish? Or at the very least, is this something that you should be thinking about as a CEO and as leadership? That I think is completely fair, because there have been enough stories like this at this point where you just have to say, let us not be that cautionary tale. And the last thing I'll say about this is that there's that kind of old adage, which is completely false, about like all PR is good PR.
Yeah.
This is pretty much proof that that's not the case, right? Because there
Right.
was a ton of coverage about this story. And then you can look to see, even though some of that, to your point about like declining same store sales, it had been on the decline for a while. This didn't reverse the decline just because they got a whole lot of quote unquote free PR out of it.
It also shows like sometimes CEOs are becoming chief influencers. I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure, I don't work for the PR department, but the other restaurant chain where the CEO was trying to eat the burger, and that viral moment was actually positive for the brand because it saw an uptick. Probably in this case, it was not.
Yeah. No, I really like that. I hadn't thought about that. I do think that maybe we'll do a postmortem type of interview with her. If Julie, if you're listening, we will definitely consider having you on the show, media at rethink.industries. So, and if we don't get her, like you guys are pretty darn good company in the meantime. Another thing that I think was pretty darn good, I would say, if you're a fan of TikTok, you both saw the news about TikTok Shop Plus, which doesn't really roll off your tongue, but if our listeners at home, or you might be at work, and if you're listening to this, if you don't know, it was a paid US membership program launching that offers benefits including free shipping, exclusive discounts, coupons, faster delivery, essentially borrowing one of Amazon's most competitive advantages rather than simply competing from a content perspective. And subscription pricing is reportedly being tested at $6, $10, and $15 per month. Did you all have any sense of this when it came out? What's your take?
I think it's a brilliant idea. To me, it's simplicity. When you find something, if you can click, order it, it gets shipped, done. TikTok is becoming the platform for just that whole experiential marketing that's happening. It's growing, and I see this as an opportunity for maybe not to go right away toe to toe with Amazon Prime, but it's doing some of the same things that really think about the customer experience and thinking about what making it simple for that consumer. So I think it's a great add-on. I think it's a great plus, and it feels different in a way that you don't get that same experiential marketing as you get on Amazon as you do with TikTok. And that's becoming so important.
I would build up on that. I think firstly, it's positive. Secondly, it's positive because it's fueling the gig economy. That gig economy worker, you can be anything by being at home and being an entrepreneur. It's really fueling that American spirit of entrepreneurship. And I wouldn't really compare it with Amazon directly because Amazon is a completely different platform. I wouldn't say like TikTok is going head to head with that because discoverability is different. I mean, in social, you're different. It's a different kind of content. You're an influencer and you're discovering a brand in a very different platform as compared to Amazon. However, they may have similar offerings. So I'll just say that it's similar but different. And the significant part is not the membership itself. Plenty of retailers offer memberships. What really stood out was the TikTok's strategic direction. It increasingly appears to be transitioning from social commerce platform that's built for influencers, that's built for, I like that purse, I'm going to buy that there, to a very full-fledged e-commerce ecosystem.
You go into Amazon knowing what you want to buy. You go into TikTok thinking you know what you're going to buy, but you end up buying something that you didn't expect.
Or maybe you didn't even think that you were going to buy it. Like that's the thing is nobody goes
Exactly.
to Amazon to say, "Hey, I kind of feel like being entertained right now."
Yeah, exactly.
It is very more transactional just based off just how it started. But I would say, I mean, this is part of like why I think the idea of a first mover advantage is so overrated because there are a lot of good things about it. But the other cool thing is that you teach somebody else, here are all the things that you have to do, like in terms of what ByteDance is learning from Amazon here, you have expanded fulfillment capabilities. That's something that TikTok is clearly doing. More Amazon style logistics, recurring product subscriptions, right? That's a way to keep people in the ecosystem longer. Seller services, in the same way that Amazon built a really strong marketplace. So definitely it's not the same thing. And I don't mean to say that you're deciding between a TikTok Shop Plus membership and Amazon Prime at all. But it's like they are learning from them.
It'll be a competitor in some way because it's about discovery going to TikTok. You're looking for that discovery, finding that new lipstick or finding that new denim that's everyone's wearing. It's not skinny jeans anymore, it's the flare. and having an influencer tell you that just gives more credibility to the purchase.
Yeah, I mean, it's also habit forming, right? Like, there's studies that support this, that the more you basically you're paying for a certain particular membership, and now you need to justify that, right? I definitely know that at the very start of Amazon Prime, I'm like, should I pay for it? And then I paid for it, and then I'm like, I have to justify that I just paid for it. So it creates a certain sense of loyalty and a certain behavior that gets reinforced. If you've got more and more people who just go to TikTok shop to just start engaging, then it becomes cheaper. I mean, basically, it's like customer retention dynamics 101.
I would say exactly that, Jeremy, because you're not leaving the platform when you're shopping. So if you really like something on an influencer, you don't, it's vertical integration 101. So you stay in TikTok, you complete the purchase there rather than click on it and leave for Amazon and you kind of lose that audience.
Yeah, we have a new segment that we're rolling out this week. It is called WTF. In case you're wondering, the F it stands for the F word, fudge. And we're going to start with a few interesting stories that just struck us and kind of made us say WTF this week. Charisma, you want to start?
Oh yeah, I saw. I would like to say that the drone story was pretty WTF for me. DoorDash just got approved from FAA first drone deliveries. So I'm wondering if my next Michelin starred restaurant would be delivered by a drone anytime soon.
Tanya, what do you think? Do you think that if your meal shows up by a drone, you're going to, are you willing to pay any more to get it 4 minutes faster?
I'm a little specific when it comes to food, so I don't really think a drone would be something that I would want to have being having my food delivered. Now that could be a little bit of old school. Maybe I'm a little bit behind the times, but I think that to me would be something I wouldn't be a huge proponent of. I wouldn't think that that's something cool and creative and wow, I'm going to try that tonight. That's just not me.
Pretty cool for me. I live in Manhattan,
Oh,
so
good for you. Yeah, there you go. So does my
yeah.
daughter. So she probably
So
would love it.
I'd rather pay for the drone than pay for like $100 Uber drive.
Yeah, yeah. It's just all proximity, location. I mean, convenience. It all comes down to convenience. And so, what's more important, convenience or the quality? Like, I like to pick my own, grocery store. I like to pick my own things. And so, I'm a little bit more specific. But, if I was in Manhattan and I had proximity to a supermarket that wasn't walking distance, I would likely consider, something like a drone. Well, my what the fudge was that partnerships are still happening this week. I saw PacSun announced a partnership with Ulta Beauty. To me, it's not what the fudge, but I think it's amplifying the importance of partnerships and bringing brands together, and I see this continuously happening. Ulta, prior to that, they just partnered with Bath and Body Works as well. So I think this is just something that's going to continue to grow and get more robust. And we're seeing those with Target and Abercrombie and Fitch doing partnerships. So I think that's just something that's going to be part of the playbook as we look ahead.
Well, I have one. Even if, yeah, I was going to say mine is like much more in the spirit of the segment. Tanya was trying to force us to learn. Boo. But no, I will say so. The Guardian came out with, speaking of fudge, the 99 most interesting and strange flavors of ice cream for the summer. And this is really interesting because when I was growing up, it was like you can get chocolate, vanilla ice cream, cookies and cream, or whatever. And now we're up to like some really interesting stuff. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, but like some of these are really, really interesting. And if you look at the list, it's like there's sweet corn, there's cheese flavor, Jacob's mini cheddars at Anya Hindmarch in the UK. I don't know how I feel about that. There is mango sticky rice, might be good, I think. There's caramelized sea salt Basque cheesecake, which seems like it has a lot going on. So,
Now you're making me hungry.
Well, I was going to say this is why we record right after lunch generally, and not right before. But yeah, so we'll have a link in the show notes to that very all critical reading. But yeah, this was a great one, Charisma and Tanya. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. This was great.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Jeremy, for having us over and especially ending it on a high note of talking about ice creams. Happy summer, y'all.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in this week. To ensure you're staying up to date with us, please hit that subscribe button, smash it even if you choose to. We'd also love it if you left us a review, but you don't have to. No pressure. We have other friends. Or send your thoughts over to media@rethink.industries. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.